All right, it's a Friday, February 16. It's just after noon here on the West Coast, and I'm done for today. Today was a tough day. I don't know what was going on with me personally, but I woke up today and turned on the charts and just felt really kind of unsure and hesitant. And I think coming in and seeing this huge move down in the morning, and I started right around 6:55, I think, something in that neighborhood by the time I had the stream going, and to see that huge move down, and it just felt, honestly, it was like kind of intimidating. And I know it's because the news at 5:30 here caused a lot of this. There was very little price action, and then the news just made it rip lower. And so as I was watching this, and I had four charts. They were all good. None of them had any losses on them as far as entries. And yeah, I was seeing entries and just letting them go by and just not trusting them. And it makes it especially more difficult when, because the way I'm going about my trading is I trade my PAs first and I trade them one at a time. So today I started off with PA number 2, and I was going to copy trade to evaluation 31. And that was going to be my first 1 or 2 or 3 trades was going to be on those pair of accounts. And the more time went where I just wasn't seeing entries I liked, but they were working, the more unsure I felt. And as this started to move above the EMA and go higher, I did believe that we were headed higher overall. I don't know why it's not on this chart right now, but the previous day close was right around here, and then the opening price was right around here at the 6:30 open West Coast time. So I was thinking we would get up and close the gap, and I was thinking, a lot of times when you have these huge sell-offs, because of news, a lot of times the market brings it all the way back to where it started from or near it. So we kind of did that. I was looking for longs on the way up, but I really didn't see much that I liked. And so, yeah, that's kind of the deal there. So want to know, by the time I took my one trade, you could see it on this chart. It was about 9:50 in the morning West Coast time. And so I had by then turned off my PA accounts and decided I'd just trade one evaluation at a time. So I chose this one. And I did try again my ATM strategy where I was trying to capture more than my normal 11 tick scalp. In this case, I only got 10 ticks. And that's kind of the idea is I'm willing to give up like a tick or two if it moves my stop and I get stopped out. I'm willing to give up a tick or two of my 11 ticks to try to go for more on these evaluations right now, kind of testing it out. I did take a trade like that yesterday, and I actually like doubled my scalp. I got 23 ticks instead of my typical 11. So I'm just kind of testing it out and seeing how often I only get, something like 10 ticks versus how often I get more. And then also, is there going to be any times where I get less than, say, 10 ticks? I did try this earlier in the week or last week sometime, and I only got like 6 ticks, I think I got. And another time I only got like 9 ticks. So I don't want to do the trade this way if I'm going to continuously give up a lot of ticks. But if I'm going to give up just 1 tick for the chance to make, like yesterday, I made 23 ticks, then it's worthwhile. Even if I get 14 or 15 ticks, more often than I get 6 or 9, or 10, then it's going to be worth it. So I'm just testing that out. And the other thing I want to focus on is 10-1 for the week, 91%. And what I'm finding now that I'm settling into trading this strategy, I've kind of, if you go back and look at the beginning of the year from week to week, there's been weeks where I've had 19 trades. There's been weeks where I've only had like 5 trades. And I'm kind of finding my balance and adjusting how many trades am I going to take in terms of how many entries am I going to take because I'm on a chart that all the entries are working for my scalp target. Am I going to just indiscriminately take those entries just because they're consistently working on that particular chart for the day? Or am I going to apply some rules and filter out some trades? And the more even if I'm trying to just filter out some trades, when I'm using any rules to filter, then more than not, I'm going to skip multiple trades, because once you're applying any rule, then you have a reason more often than not to not take something or think it doesn't look quite right. So the fact that this week I was applying filters in terms of applying a really minimal amount of rules, just basic price action type rules, to why I will take a trade or skip a trade. And I was able to still get 11 trades and be 91% for the week. It feels like I'm falling into my sweet spot. There was a week where I was 15-4, which isn't terrible, but 4 losses, each loss does damage. So even if one loss per account, then that's 4 accounts that I've negatively affected. And if I've taken if I've taken 4 losses in the week and multiple on the same account, then I've really done a number. So I don't want to get 4 losses in a week. And so that's why this week I was saying to myself, okay, let's apply some limited rules and see where I end up at the end of the week. And, I'm coming off of a week where last week was my worst week. Since I've been trading this way, I was 7-4. And so that was the worst win rate for any single week since the beginning of the year. And it was interesting because last week I had the mentality to just take every entry. And right off the bat, my first trade of the week, I believe it was my first trade, maybe it was my second trade, but it was a loss. It was the first loss on the chart. And just to explain a little bit more for anyone that hasn't watched any of my videos, I have a way when I open my chart, I can see every entry that is my strategy that has occurred before I started the day. So I can just look at it and visually know, oh, they're all working, or there was 3 that didn't work, or 1 that didn't work, or whatever it is. And it's a really quick process. So when I start my day, I look for 4 charts out of all the various chart sizes that I look at. I look for the first 4 I can find that don't have any entries that would have lost. So for instance, I started here. Is there any entries in any of this that according to my strategy would have been an entry, and would it have not worked, or would it have worked? And so I find 4 charts. Hopefully I can find 4 charts that all have no entries that didn't work. And then those are the charts that I trade off for the day. And I'll trade those charts until it hits a loss. And then I won't take another trade after the loss unless I come back to it later in the day and see that, oh, it's got a bunch more wins again. It was just, a blip on the screen, 1 loss in a sea of winning entries. So today, I found 4 pretty easily that were all winners, all winning charts. And, like I said, I just wasn't comfortable taking anything. So that's how I kind of go about things. Now it's interesting because, I wonder how many people, if I could tell you, there's a way to look at your charts and know from the start that are your entries working that day for that chart or not in terms of your profit target. And to be able to judge that, you need to be able to say, like, I go for this target, every trade, I look for this amount of profit. And for me, I look for a specific amount of profit for each trade. And that's all I go for, typically speaking. So if I could tell you there's a way to look at a chart and know that your entries and your profit targets are being hit every time up to the point that you started trading, would you feel more or less confident trading that chart that day? And that's the thinking behind how I'm trading right now. So, last week I had the mentality, okay, I'm going to just take every trade. I got a winning chart. I'm going to take the trade no matter what it looks like. And boom, right away, I got a loss. Then I think on Tuesday last week, if I remember correctly, I had 4 winning charts, no losses, no entries that weren't working. And the first entry I took, which was the first one I saw, boom, got a loss. And so, I switched charts, had 3 charts left that were all working, had no entries that didn't work. Took the first trade I saw, boom, got another loss. And so, that's the first time in 6 or 7 weeks I've been trading this way where I've seen anything like that quite happen. The odds are against it, but it can happen. It can happen anytime, right? So, because of how last week went, that then the next day, I think it was even Wednesday, the first trade again, the first trade on the chart that I saw, I took it, it lost. And so I decided, okay, it's not working, for me, at least last week. It wasn't getting the results that I was looking for. And there's other weeks or other days where you can just do that and you'll get 15 trades in a row that all work, and you'll get no losses. And so, and you don't know, because it could just be a terrible looking trade. Let me see, for instance, here, this was an entry when it ticked below this bar. Now it's got an inside bar. That's not a trade that I think looks good to go short or moving up. We're in a strong bullish trend, it looks like. And, but if you go short right here, that would have worked for my profit target. I wasn't going to take that trade, but it worked. It was another winning entry on the chart. So that's kind of the point and the idea, in terms of how I'm looking at these things. So because of how things went last week, I was 7-4. It was really just not very, I think it's like 60% or something in my worst week. And so I decided this week I'm going to only take entries according to a very basic set of rules, on my winning charts, and see how I come out at the end. And what I really wanted to see this week was, am I going to only have like 3 trades for the week? Am I only going to have 4, 5? How many trades am I going to have? And what I'm really happy to see is I got 11 trades this week. I went 10-1, 91%. And my one loss was acceptable. I could accept it, and I wasn't, it didn't affect me. And so I think I'm doing a number of things that are starting to fall into place now. Now, full disclosure, there was a chart that I switched to later in the day. So this chart, I took this trade, it worked. It wasn't a trade that I loved. The bars were kind of stacking up. What I was concerned about was I saw that there was a level of support right here that I was trading right into, and my profit target was like right at that line. And when I entered the trade, it started to go against me right away. It bounced like right where the line would be, and then it started to go up. I didn't draw the line, but I visually had it in my mind. And I was like thinking to myself, oh, this might be a loser. It might just bounce here. But the chart was good, and I liked the signal bar, and I'd been patient all day, and I was trading an evaluation that was inconsequential if it wins or loses for the day. Let me take this stuff off. By the way, I do live stream every day, 6:45 a.m. to 9:30, in case I haven't said that already today. So let me, let's take this off and take that off. So, I didn't love this trade. But I was patient all day. It was kind of like a no risk trade for me, trading the single evaluation. I do have evaluation 33 is going to be renewed this weekend. So it's going to be a fresh balance and a fresh drawdown when I start trading on Tuesday. Monday's a holiday, so I won't be trading. And I think there's another, 26 or 28 also on Tuesday comes back. So I'm gaining 2 evaluations back on renewals that were blown up when I start trading Tuesday. So to me, it was like if I even lost an evaluation today, it would have been no big deal. So I took the trade. I didn't love it. It was the only thing I could say is I also kind of had in mind that there could be this 2 legs down and there was room for it. And I kind of had in mind that this move up maybe had a new high here to this. And so maybe that was played out, but I was honestly still thinking we were going to close the gap up here. So I knew I was kind of going against my context. But there was reason to believe it was trying. You could look at like it tried to reach and close the gap. It tried to reach and close the gap. It tried, and it wasn't working. So it kind of, when you think about it like that, wasn't surprising that it sold off at that point. So now after that trade, full transparency, I did try to take another trade on this chart. So my first trade was here. It was about 950. I did try to take another trade here for short. And this trade lost. This trade, I tried to go short. I got into the trade. And while I was in the trade, I was like, that's weird. I don't see any numbers moving. I didn't see Apex account in the working positions window here. It's just like thinking to myself, what's going on? Meanwhile, it's all moving very fast. And, it's interesting. I didn't even, when it immediately started to move against me, I was like, it didn't even worry me that I was going to potentially take a loss on my evaluation. And I think that's the good thing about what I'm doing, switching to the evaluation. I only trade my PAs from when I start till about 9 to 9:30 in the morning on the West Coast. And then that's the time where if a chart has all working entries so far, that's the time where usually I find charts will start to get some entries that don't work. And that happened today. And so I was switching charts and changing charts. And so I had found this chart and took the trade and it ended up losing. But the thing why it's not counting in these stats, why I'm saying I'm 1-0, is I had gone and fed my dogs and took them out. And so when I leave, what I do is the way I trade is I trade with a sim account as the leader account, and it copy trades to my Apex accounts. And that way I can just choose real easily in my copy window which accounts I want to trade. So I always turn off all the accounts when I walk away from my system. That way I can't be inadvertently entered into a trade. There's no way my Apex accounts can possibly be entered into a trade because the leader account is a sim account. And so if the copier is completely off, no accounts are armed or chosen, then it can't enter a trade. So it saved me because I came back from being with my dogs and like really quickly, right when I sat down, I had just come back. I saw this happening, and it was happening on all four charts I had at the same time. And this was going to be the first one that triggered. And a lot of times I try to choose the one that's going to trigger first, thinking that one has the least amount of room to go to work before the others get triggered behind it. And so it should work in theory. And so I, forgot that I had turned off the following accounts or the follower account on the copier, and I entered the trade, and it turned out to be sim only, and it saved me a loss. And but I'm not counting that as a loss in terms of my stats. And the reason for that is because these stats are keeping track of my Apex accounts. These are every single trade I take on Apex is included in these stats. And because this one wasn't on an Apex account, I can't include it in the stats because that's not what I'm trying to track. I'm trying to track my strategy on these Apex accounts. And last week or earlier this week, a similar thing happened where I used the ratio setting on my copier to decide how many accounts I'm going to trade off of, because the sim is set to, one contract, and then I just multiply it for however many contracts I want to trade, depending on which account I'm trading. And so earlier in the week or last week, I forget exactly, it was a few days ago, I had it set at 0, but I didn't realize it. And so I entered a trade like I did today here, and it was a similar thing. Like I wasn't seeing the numbers moving, and that one was a winning trade. And I won that trade. It was on sim only, and I did the same thing. I did not count it in the stats, and you can go back and see that. So I'm being consistent in that way. I will not count any trade that's a sim only trade, whether I do it on purpose or not. I'm not looking to trade sim. So typically I'll never trade sim on purpose. I'll just choose an evaluation, and that's my sim. And that's, essentially why I took the trade I took today, was because I look at my evaluation accounts as sim. I look at my PA accounts a little bit differently because I'm getting close to a payout. And this one, I'm $700 or so away from qualifying for a payout. So that to me is more like real money. And evaluations, I trade a little bit looser. So that's why I was willing to take this trade. It's also why I was willing to take the losing trade, because for some reason, when trades look like that, they lose so often. I've gotten caught on these a lot of times. But because, again, it was only on an evaluation, I was willing to take it. And then it turned out it was only on sim. So I think I've explained that well enough. And so, yeah, overall, the last thing I want to talk about is just rotating accounts. It's really working for me. Like really having a hard rule that I stop trading my PAs at 9 to 9:30, depending on how the charts are looking and how the day is going. But like it's a pretty hard out that I won't trade them anymore. And then I switch to one evaluation at a time. And that way it's no pressure. If any single one of these evaluations gets a loss or blows up, it really doesn't have any effect in what I'm doing overall. The only time a loss really can affect me is on the PA account, and I'm trading these small enough 2 contracts on the PA accounts max. So no one loss will blow up either one of my accounts. It will take 2 losses at the minimum to blow up an account. Really just the 25K. It'll take more than 2 losses to blow up my 50K. So I really like to have that in place as my kind of my stop loss measures in terms of protecting my accounts. And then to cycle through the evaluations, like I said, I've got 2 evaluations coming back online for next week, and I've got 8 total. So these are all essentially scratch accounts. I do want to get more PAs, but no single one of these accounts means so much to me that it's going to hurt when I get a loss or blow it up or anything. So it's really just kind of like a nice way to trade. It takes all the stress out of it. Every trade used to feel so important to me the way I was trading before, when I was trading bigger contracts or trading multiple accounts copied together at the same time, like 3 or 4 or 5 accounts at the same time. It just felt like a lot of pressure. This way of trading feels like no pressure. Even when I'm trading my PA account, like I'm trading the PA and 1 eval. And it's really like, if it doesn't work, it sucks. It's a setback. I have to rebuild again, but it's not going to kill the account, and it's not going to devastate me emotionally. So it's just something to keep in mind that is really working for me. I'm finding that I'm getting really good results, and just want to keep that going. So I think I've said it all for today. That was a lot. The 71% discount is still going on for Apex evaluation accounts. You can use this code or any other you have. I am 69 and 17 for the year, 80%. I'm happy with that for right now. 10 and 1 for the week, 91%, 1 and 0 for the day, 100%. I am live streaming, like I said, every single day, starting between around 6:45 a.m. West Coast to 7 a.m., which is 9:45 to 10 a.m. on the East Coast. And then I will trade at least until 12:30 p.m. on the East Coast, if not longer. And what else? 1 day pass is still going on the evaluations for Apex this week. As you can see, I'm not getting caught up in all that. I'm just trading the way I trade. And quite frankly, I've had the accounts that are in good shape for so long that most of them are already getting near 7 days. So the 1 day pass really just doesn't affect me regardless. And some of these are going to start renewing soon. So I think 27, I think 27 renews soon, like another week. So, the 1 day pass doesn't matter because I'm already going to have the 7 days. So the 1 day pass can come and go. And I'm still working on this evaluation, slow and steady, and just trading within myself. Because I think that was part of it last week too, is the 1 day pass. Is that last week? There was a week where there was a 1 day pass and I just was like, okay, I'm taking everything. And it just it's not working for me yet. So, anything else to talk about? Yeah, that's it. I'm really just documenting my journey. I'm not trying to teach or tell anyone how to trade. I'm still trying to figure out for myself the best way of trading. I think I've fallen into this system that is working for me. And so I'm really excited to just continue doing what I'm doing and seeing if I can keep now replicating these kinds of weeks over and over. I was 10-1 this week. Last week was a bad week for me, 7-4. I think the week before that, I don't remember what my win rate was, but I think I had about 14 trades or so. Last week I had 11 trades. This week I had 11 trades. There was a week where I had 19 trades. There was a week where I had 5 trades. So I'm finding the balance, but if I can settle in and be at around 10 or 11 trades a week, I'm really happy with that. I used to only get 2 or 3 trades a week at best. So I'm getting consistently 10, 11 trades or more per week, which is great for me. And what else can I say? Last thing, yesterday I had someone came into my live stream and chatted. That was really cool. I'd love for that to happen more. And I've been picking up more subscribers in the last 2 weeks since I started live streaming. So I think that's really cool. And I hope that the live stream can become more active. And, I'm down to have conversations with anyone. Trading's a lonely game. So come on by, say hi. I'm interested to know how other people are trading and what they're trading. I'm only trading NQ now. But yeah, I like what some other YouTubers are doing in terms of having conversations during their live streams. And it would be great if this were to grow at some point and be able to do something like that as well. But at the end of the day, it really is just to document my trading journey and see where these various strategies I've been trying take me. And right now, I'm making small modifications, but I'm really sticking with what I'm doing now. Seems to be working, and it'll be really interesting to see where this goes in a month from now, months from now, and a year from now. I'm really hoping that I can see the progression over the course of a longer period of time. So this is just the beginning. I'm 6 weeks in with the strategy on YouTube, and 69.17. I'm on my way where I want to be. So also 700 away from my first payout. And right now that's what this is entirely about, is me getting to my first payout. And that's the journey I'm on. That's what I'm trying to figure out. And hey, maybe next week will be the week where I finally will get there. We'll see. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing. Thanks for coming in, checking out my live stream. And I appreciate if you keep coming by and see how I do. All right. Have a good one. Be back next week. Have a good weekend.